Let's talk more now about the Republican slugfest with our political panel, CNN political commentator Ana Navarro and communications director for the anti-Trump Our Principles PAC, Tim Miller. Tim, you heard Sam Clovis there talking about how no candidate will gain anything by tough rhetoric. A little bit of the pot calling the kettle black there from the Trump national co-chair?
Well, no doubt. Look, Trump has so many vulnerabilities that I wouldn't be surprised that his co-chair wouldn't want people to talk about him. And just in the last 2 days, we've seen stories, one, about how Donald Trump had a high roller at one of his casinos who was a racist, and so Trump kept black people away from his table. That is jarring. And Trump has such a problem with race throughout his history. And another story yesterday talked about all Trump's outsourcing, Trump colognes, Trump umbrellas, Trump body wash, Trump everything. It's all infomercial, and it's all made in China. So the voters need to hear about this, and I expect they will tomorrow night, whether the Trump people want it or not.
And I want to ask you a little bit about news. Jeb Bush, we just learned he's going to be meeting with the three non-Trump GOP candidates before CNN's Republican debate tomorrow. What influence does Jeb Bush hope to have at this stage in this race?
Look, I'm not sure that it's the influence that he hopes to have. I just think that people who are against Trump, and I know Jeb Bush is against Trump, thinks Trump would be very bad for our party, very bad for our country. I think his motivation is, how do we stop Trump? I'm not surprised that he's meeting with all three of them. I think, that for all of us, we're coming to grips with the idea that any of the three, including Ted Cruz, who was unacceptable to many of us just a few days ago, is a much better option than Donald Trump. I think Jeb Bush wants to add his voice to the anti-Trump movement. I think you're going to see him, maybe take a similar route to Governor Romney. People are, in angst. People are worried about the notion of Donald Trump being our nominee, potentially our president, and feel compelled to speak out.
Tim, I got to ask you, though.
Yeah, look, Jeb had moral clarity throughout the...
But let me just ask you about a point, just to respond to what Anna's saying there. Yes, we've heard those voices among Republicans, Mitt Romney, Jeb Bush among them, uncomfortable, to say the least, with the Donald Trump candidacy and lead. But how do they convince donors to keep pouring money down that drain after, well, Jeb Bush's departure, Marco Rubio's performance, and that surprise, pickup in momentum for Donald Trump last night?
Well, look, two things. One, as Anna was saying, Jeb had moral clarity throughout the campaign about Donald Trump, about how we can't win if you're going to insult the disabled, insult Hispanics. Jeb took him on from day one.
He's winning.
So this shouldn't be a surprise to anyone. With regards to donors, look, our Principles PAC, we've had more support over the last week than the PAC had in its entire existence to date for stopping Trump. They saw his vulnerability in Maine, in Kansas, in Idaho. Trump can be beat. And on March 15th, well, we're spending a lot of money educating voters about his record. He's going to be in a lot of these big delegate states.
Jim, there's been a sea change in the attitude of donors after Super Tuesday. I think a lot of us woke up with very big hangovers that Wednesday after Super Tuesday, and it wasn't from drinking. It was from the headache that we got at the notion that Donald Trump was likely the nominee, and people are, feeling the need to act. Look, it's a late effort. It should have started a long time ago. It should have started a long time ago by the other candidates, by donors, by anybody who really can't stand the idea of Donald Trump as our president. But it started now, better late than ever, and I think people feel we have got to put the effort in.
Anna and Tim, I'm just going to give you a brief answer on a final question before we go. Is Marco Rubio's campaign finished? Anna, you first, then Tim.
Look, it's not finished till it's finished, okay? It's not really. I think March 15th is a litmus test for Marco. If Marco does not win Florida, at that point, I think we can wake up on Wednesday and say his campaign is finished. If he does win Florida, it's going to be a huge night for him. That being said, he still has no mathematical path to the nomination. So at some point, he's going to have to really reconcile the reality, the mathematical reality, with the political reality and search inside his soul. But I am certain Marco Rubio is in this until March 15th and will give it his all.
Marco has a big debate tomorrow night. He's going to have to keep educating voters about Trump, and he'll be there on the stage, and there's a big opportunity for him tomorrow.
All right, optimistic point of view. Ana Navarro, Tim Miller, thanks very much.